You're listening to the S3. I am JD. What's going on? She is Lady M. This is the S3 football show. What, Lady M, what's going on?
Not much. I mean, the show.
All right. So we are live on like 4 Facebook pages. We are live on YouTube. If you are watching us live, thank you very much for spending a few minutes with us today. Oh, we're gonna be able to vent a little bit. Today's gonna be almost like a therapy session where we are just gonna talk about and finally let out how terrible our Patriots are. I mean, like you see it every single day. I am here. I've got the wall behind me with all the Pats gear and all the New England stuff and everything. And I'm very proud New Englander, except in the wintertime because I don't live up there. We are down here in 80 degrees, 75-degree winter, Scottsdale, Arizona.
Much better decision, yes.
Yes, very much so. But yeah, thanks for checking us out. Thanks for hanging in there today. Like I said, we're going to talk about the state of the Patriots. We're going to go over the Week 10 schedule real quick. We're going to give our locks. You can let us know if you're watching live what you think of our picks and kind of laugh at us, make fun of us. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button on the YouTube channel and leave a comment. Be nice, be mean. We really don't give a shit. Thank you for spending some of your day with us. So we're nobodies, but we love sports, so we do a show. It's how we roll. So that being that, if you have missed any of the past episodes of the S3, you can listen to them on heroesmediagroup.com. You can also listen on Spotify. Also, don't forget about our Friday basketball show that was newly added. It's only a couple shows in because we're at the beginning of the season. So Fridays, same time, same place. We're talking basketball, but today we're talking football. So we've got that coming up. We've got the Pats venting session, I guess you could call it. We've got the locks. I've got my DraftKings build for tomorrow night. So make sure you've got your pen and paper out. Who uses a pen and paper anymore? I don't know. I've got like 4 notepads of paper next to me, and I've only written like a few words, and then everything's done on computer.
I had almost switched to my phone's notepad, but then it crashed. So I have to actually write a grocery list like some kind of caveman.
Also, don't forget, in the fourth quarter, it's the college quarter. I'm going to give you the lineup to sit your ass on the couch and watch college football all day. There's 3 games in particular. It's almost like they scheduled it that way to make sure there's an awesome game every 3 hours. So there's a few games that I am watching in that. Army is not one of them, but we cheer for Army. I'm an Army veteran. Go Army, be Navy. It's up there behind me somewhere. I'm loving what Boston College is doing, and of course I cover Arizona State football at their home games. I'll be back in the press box next week. They are on the road in UCLA trying to pull an upset this weekend. And finally, football origins. Who are you going to teach us about in football origins?
We're doing the Cardinals today.
We're doing the Arizona Cardinals. Why? Because you pissed off all of our Cardinal fans over the last 2 years.
Might as well make it worse.
Might as well just remind them how terrible their history has been in the NFL. All right, what's next?
Headlines and Yo Mama.
Yo Mama. All right, so headlines and Yo Mama. Headline number 1, the Los Angeles Rams are signing quarterback Carson Wentz to back up Matthew Stafford. Wentz was actually signed on like a multi-year deal originally by the Commanders. And then they let him go, and now all of a sudden he's probably going to be starting at least 1 or 2 games if Stafford and his thumb injury don't get any better. So, I mean, are the Rams really going to do anything this year? Yeah. They've got probably one of the best tandems in the league as far as wide receivers go, and Puka and Kupp. I have them on my fantasy teams. Why not? But outside of that, I mean, what are they really doing?
Yeah. They've had a couple of shining moments, but that's it.
All right, Lady M. So let's go. Your turn to make fun of my mama. So what do you got?
Yo, mama so fat she uses Google Earth to take a selfie.
Harsh. Very harsh. Pretty damn accurate, though. All right, headline number 2. The Cincinnati Bengals are unsure if Jamar Chase will be a go for Week 10 matchups versus Houston. Again, I've got Cincinnati for my lock to go to the big game. I
Yes,
picked
you
them
do.
through the season. Started off a little rough, not going to lie, but they've been coming on. They've been coming on real hard lately. They look good against the Bills. A poor showing for the Buffalo Bills. That game ended up being like a 1-score game. It wasn't even that close. Wasn't even that close. But hopefully they're going to get him back. If not, I think they'll be okay. They still got Higgins. They still got Boyd. They still got Irwin for receivers. Pretty decent. So we'll see what happens with them in their matchup. We'll talk more about them in second quarter. All right, my turn. First off, do I have to pre-phrase this with your mom is a lovely woman and all that stuff? She's great. She's a
Your
great.
mama jokes aren't real about people's moms. They're just like
Let's do it.
Stupid, funny
Well,
sayings.
hey, your mama's so dumb. She failed her last survey.
I like that one. That's fun.
All right, headline number 3. Aaron Rodgers hints on the Pat McAfee show on Tuesday that he could possibly return in about 6 weeks. Guy had a torn ACL. He's going to come back probably, maybe. I mean, we may be.
Well, they didn't think he'd come back this season at all.
Well, he hasn't yet.
So if he's able to pull it off in the next 6 weeks, I'm going to consider that.
It would be amazing
thing for them.
It would be amazing. 37 years old, torn ACL, comes back in the same season.
Right.
I like it. I mean, I don't think the Jets are going to go to the playoffs because I think Wilson
will be a lot happier to have him on the field with them, though. He makes such a big difference to that team. I guess the morale boost from it, maybe.
Oh, they would get a huge morale boost. The fan base would. I mean, they're playing decent. But the last game that they played, I mean, the Jets looked like the pre-Rodgers Jets.
Yeah, they did.
I mean, even Rodgers' right-hand man, Lazard, was dropping balls left and right from Wilson. And, I mean, they weren't bad passes. They were hitting them right in the hands, and he was dropping them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he caught that Jets cough. That, oh, crap, All right. What do you got?
All right. I have to look because I'm not good enough to just remember them. Your mama's so mean, they don't give her Happy Meals at McDonald's.
You don't deserve a Happy Meal. McDonald's is I don't really give a care about any part of my health food.
Yeah. Like, I think it's that way for everybody. Worldwide, not just in the U.S., because it's not like it's healthier elsewhere.
And we live in Scottsdale, where like they've got like gourmet burger joints and everything.
Yeah.
And occasionally I'll be like, fuck it. Let's see if I survive until tomorrow. I'm gonna go get a double cheeseburger from McDonald's and see what's up.
It's a big difference between like an $8 value meal and spending $15 on just the burger.
Right. But there are some damn good burgers out there. I'll tell you that much. Patriots take on the Colts in Frankfurt, Germany on Sunday. I saw, because somebody doesn't get up at 7:30 a.m. on a Sunday.
Good Lord, no, not on a weekend.
Who sleeps in
not on a weekday?
Sunday? You have to be really sick to be up at like 6 a.m. going, is the football game on yet? That's me. That's me. I'm up.
I do
want
to see it, so we'll have to see what I can pull off this weekend.
No, it's cool. You're normal. I mean, we've got DVRs and shit for a reason. I can always record it, but I have a feeling that you'll just be able to tell by the mood that I'm in exactly what happened when you get up.
Yeah.
So is what it is. I like the games in Germany. I do. I like the football games in Germany. I think they're cool. I think the NFL expansion is really cool. Who knows? Maybe just like flag football, maybe professional football will be an Olympic sport.
Yeah, it would be neat.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? All right, you ready? Last one.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yo mama's so fat when she takes a shower, her feet stay dry.
Oh God. That's terrible.
And that was headlines. And yo mama, what's next?
First quarter, the state of the Patriots.
All right, here we go, Patriots fans. I've been on X all day. Everybody's complaining. The Fire Belichick posts are in the thousands. I mean, I'm almost there to where I'm like, it's possible. Before I'm like, how dare you speak about my Lord God, Bill Belichick like that. But now I'm like, yeah, I mean, the fans kind of got a point. We're 2-7. We're 2-7. Yeah, there's a lot of issues you can point at and whatnot, but eventually you got to look at the guy that's the general manager. He's the head coach, but he's the general manager, so he is in charge of every roster move out there.
Yeah.
All right. So I mean, so the Pats currently sit at 2-7, as I mentioned, in last place in the AFC East and last in the entire AFC. They're the worst team in the entire AFC, not quite the worst team in the NFL.
Yeah.
But they are, I mean, when was the last time we were able to say, I've been a Patriots fan since 1985. We've had some bad years, but those I was able to drink out of memory for the most part. Now, I mean, it's still fresh. The Patriots suck. I was saying this again. If you're watching live, die hard Patriots fan. I'm still flying freaking my Mac Jones jerseys. Terrible year. They have a 0.3% chance to make the playoffs. Playoffs? That shit ain't happening. All right. A 0.1% chance to win their division. That ain't happening.
Yeah.
All right. Injuries have plagued this season on both sides of the balls, with starters Matthew Judon and Christian Gonzalez being out since week 4.
2 players we cannot afford to have out. They are our defense.
They're the killers. Pretty much it. The heart
Gonzalez
of the defense,
was
right
absolutely murdering it the first couple of games that he played. I thought.
Yeah, he was awesome as a rookie. I mean, he looked like a first round draft pick.
Obviously,
like he Judon, looked like the guy,
the king of sacks. You want him Matthew in all your games.
Did we jinx Matthew Judon by giving away his jersey at the beginning of the season?
No.
Did we do that? Who knows? Who knows? And we gave it to a Packer fan to give it away for his foundation. I don't know. It may be on us.
We can blame that on my brother-in-law for being charitable. Should have kept it for yourself, Daniel.
You know what? We should have kept it for ourselves. Why are we trying to do shit nice for people? Right?
Right.
Unbelievable. It could be, if you're like I said, I'm not superstitious. I'm a little stitious. That's just, maybe who knows? You also notice, like, I haven't been wearing my Pats jerseys or gear at all while watching the games.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. Which jersey should I be flying this weekend? You know what? I'm gonna don Mac Jones.
The red
for
Mac.
The Sunday game. We're doing red Mac. I don't think they're wearing red though. I have to check. I don't think they are.
I have to check. I don't know why. That's just what my gut said. So.
All right. Well, I'm gonna fly red. You are very rarely wrong about anything.
Well,
so
thank you for that. You have some rose-colored glasses on when it comes to that, but sure.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but yeah. All right. They've got a patchwork offensive line. They've got a new offensive coordinator in Bill O'Brien, whose offense have only mustered 15 points per game, which is ranked 31st in the freaking NFL. You have wide receivers and tight ends who are more consistent at dropping passes than making big plays. And you have Mac Jones, who is having one of his worst seasons and can't avoid turning the damn ball over.
Yeah. lot of elements in offense that are equaling ugh.
And then despite
some of our big
acknowledging
moves we made haven't panned out either, like getting Juju. He's done almost
well,
nothing.
No. Well, that's correct. He finally scored a touchdown last week.
Yeah, finally.
He did, but we lost. We lost. So, all right, whatever. Kendrick Bourne's hurt. He's a big part of the offense, but he's not the reason why the offense.
Hunter Henry's always been before hit or miss.
Hunter Henry just keeps dropping balls. Gesicki keeps dropping balls. Yeah, occasionally they catch them, but they drop more than they catch.
Yeah.
It seems like. All right. Don't pull up the stats on me like that. Don't be coming on here using stats and facts to back up your argument. What kind of a show do you think this is?
We're the ones that get to do that.
Yeah, I'm usually the one that does that. So when I pull something out of my ass, just run with it. All right. Humor me. Yeah, I rarely do it, but just humor me. Okay. That's just how it is. So the big question is, all right, will Bill Belichick finish the season as the head coach of the New England Patriots?
I still have to say I hope so.
You hope, yeah.
Couple of rough seasons, and he's
way to skate the issue. Yes terrible, or no? Dude. I hope he does. Be nice if he does. Yes or no?
I mean, the way football works, they'll probably cut him loose, which would just be a crying shame, honestly. But
if they lose this weekend, do they cut him loose? They're going into their bye week. This is the
against if the Colts. Yeah, they might.
If there's ever a perfect time to fire him,
it's now.
It's now. If they lose this week, because then you go into a bye week.
Yeah.
You give your interim head coach a week to prepare, 2 weeks to prepare for their next opponent, which off the top of my head, I don't know. I don't have any clue who it is. Doesn't matter. We're probably going to get beat anyway. God, I can't believe I'm saying this. It's like, fire.
I mean, it's in the middle of the season, and I get that this would be an opportune time to do it if you're going to do it in the middle of the season, but I still feel like there's too many other elements that aren't going to come together. So even if you threw another coach in, we're not going to get better.
This is what I feel. I feel like Bill Belichick has the photos of Robert Kraft's visit to the Taiwan massage parlor. That's what I feel. That's why he's still the head coach of the New England Patriots. Like any other coach, like Josh McDaniels just got crushed. He's gone, right? It's same thing. They pretty much have similar rate. I think the Raiders have like 1 win more, maybe 2 wins more. He's gone. He's out of the job. Antonio Pierce is in charge there. We are freaking 2-7. I'm going to put this out there. If you're watching live, do the Patriots lose or do the Patriots fire Bill Belichick if they lose in Germany? I probably wouldn't even let him on the flight home.
You figure out how to get back yourself.
The problem with that is he's also the GM.
Yeah.
So now, not only do you have to come up with an interim head coach, but you got to have somebody that has prepared the team for the draft next season. Well, they'll probably find somebody in the offseason, more than likely. But as far as personnel goes, I mean, you got somebody else stepping in there that's not named Belichick unless they give it to Steve Belichick, his son. That's another question. If Bill Belichick goes, do they also fire his sons, get them off the team as well? Because they're both on the Patriots staff.
It depends on if what they're doing in the staff is working or not. And I'm going to go with probably not, because the whole team's just not working right now very well.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, this is the breakdown of the Patriots right now. They're 21st in passing yards per game. They're 28th in rushing yards per game. Because everybody's on Mac Jones, and I'm not defending him. He's played shitty.
Yeah.
But you're 28th in rushing with Ezekiel Elliott and Ramondre Stevenson. 28. Yeah. Stevenson averages like 40 yards a game.
Yeah, he's normally a superstar.
40. That's our starting running back that's averaging backup numbers at best.
Yeah.
And then you've got the backup that's only like 3 yards per game behind him and Ezekiel Elliott. That should also happen.
Supposedly a superstar.
He is usually. Last year he was decent.
Yeah, he did
last
step
couple
it
years.
up towards the end of the season.
So we're 28th in rushing, 21st in passing. We're 27th in total yards per game, 31st in the brand new Bill O'Brien offense for points per game. All right. 5 weeks ago, I could say, it's still a brand new offense. Maybe. Now I can't use that excuse anymore whatsoever. Mac Jones has 10 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. Ramondre Stevenson, again, is averaging a little over 40 yards per game. Your best wide receiver is Kendrick Bourne, whether you like it or not. Actually, right now, I'd probably say Pop Douglas, but stat-wise, it's Kendrick Bourne.
Yeah.
Your tight ends consistently drop passes.
Yeah.
Right? Defensively, you're ranked 21st in passing yards allowed per game. You're ranked 11th in rushing yards allowed per game. That's a bright spot. That's the bright spot, right? We're ranked, but we're ranked top half in rushing defense. That's the only good thing we can say. We're ranked 26th in points per game allowed because we average like 25 or 26 points per game.
Mm-hmm.
But when your offense only puts up 15,
you're not going to make it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have multiple needs to address by the end of the season or before next season. Are you not going to stay with quarterback Mac Jones? If this continues, is Mac Jones the starter next year?
If I had to take my pick, because one way or the other, they're going to do some kind of a gutting. I'm sure of that already because we've done that bad this season. They're going to have to almost. If I had to take my pick, I would actually rather keep Bill Belichick in the position he's in and gut the team.
Which position though? Head coach or
head coach?
GM?
He could stop as general manager. I think that.
I don't think he'll allow that.
I don't think he'll allow that either. But if I had to pick between the two, I'd rather have him as the head coach.
I don't know. I think if you cut him, you need to cut ties completely and move forward.
Yeah.
Like that, because if they keep him, then you got to start looking at the owner. Like out here in Arizona, they don't look at the head coach anymore. They don't look at the quarterback anymore. They look at the freaking owner in Bidwell.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, what are you doing?
If Bill Belichick continues this path and they don't fire him,
yeah,
you got to look at Robert Kraft. Start asking him what the hell he's doing.
Right? It just depends on what they do going into the next season, though. Because if they get the team and come back and he's able to do something, like say they start next season 5-0, everybody's suddenly going to feel differently about it.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't know if he's going to make it to next season.
I don't know either. It's looking pretty grim. I agree.
Here's the bright side. All right? All you Patriots fans out there, here's the bright side. And this is the side you need to start looking at it at. Currently, if they continue to stay on this path, the Patriots are looking around the 5th pick in the draft, right? So they have a solid draft pick. And they've got about $77 or $78 million currently remaining in cap space for 2024, which is 4th best, I think, in the NFL, or 3rd best in the NFL. So they've got a ton of cap space next year, right?
Yeah.
But do you trust Bill Belichick with that? Because you remember 3 years ago, he went out on a shopping spree. 2 years ago, 2 off seasons ago, I think, he went out on this shopping spree. And none of those purchases have panned out. Well, Judon's panned out.
Judon is amazing.
He got hurt, but he's awesome when he's out there.
Yeah.
Right? So he's panned out. There are not many more.
Ramondre
outside of Judon, outside of bringing in Matthew Judon, Bill Belichick's purchases in the offseason have not panned out at all.
Yeah.
At all.
Makes me think of Juju and Ezekiel again.
I don't know. If they lose this weekend and Bill Belichick is still a part of the team, then we got to start looking at the owner. You have to.
Yeah.
Right? I love, again, diehard Patriots fan since 1985. I have backed Bill Belichick through the worst of times, which is now, along with their quarterback, I'm flying 2 Mac Jones jerseys. But right now, like, I don't like it. I don't know any Patriots fan out there that does like it.
Yeah.
If they lose this weekend, in my opinion, don't even let him on the plane home. Don't even let him on the plane home. He's made enough money. right? He just signed a huge contract apparently in the offseason. So he can fly home by himself, right? I don't like it. I don't like it. All right.
Yeah.
What's next?
Second quarter, week 10 schedule and locks.
All right. So here we go. Thursday night football. Let's jump into it. You got the Panthers at the Bears. If you stick to the third quarter, I am actually going to give you down the breakdown, DraftKings breakdown of the team that I am putting into my DFS tournaments that I believe. I'm going to put a few. This is the one I'm most confident in. All right. So I'm going to give that to you in the third quarter. But right now, Panthers 1-7 at the Bears 2-7. There could not be a worse matchup for a primetime game. Real quick, shout out to Julie Howard. Outstanding. Thanks for watching. All right. This game, like, are you excited? We're going to watch it. But are you excited to watch this game? Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much
that's
it.
That's about the best I can do. Sorry.
Well, the that's because you don't gamble like I do. So if you
Even
have
if
money
I did,
in
I
it,
don't think I could be excited about the matchup.
You can always be excited about winning money, babe. You can always be excited about winning money. Today's a good money day, by the way. There's 14 NBA games. You know, he'll have his DraftKings heated up and ready to go for that game. Anyway, so you got that for Thursday night game. The Sunday schedule starting at 07:30 a.m. Mountain Standard Time out here in the Valley of the Sun. They're not out here, but that's what time the game is out here. You've got the Colts at the Patriots. I will be watching. Patriots must win this game.
Yeah.
To give Bill Belichick a seat on that plane back from Frankfurt, Germany. Must.
Any hope of a turnaround?
Unbelievable.
Game.
Unbelievable. They have to win that game. The 11 a.m. start 1 a.m. Eastern time. Yes, that's correct. I do believe, or 2 a.m. Eastern time. I think it's 2 a.m. Eastern time. I'm freaking so low. Right now it's 10 a.m. out here. The game will be on 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, 10 a.m. Pacific time. So whatever time 9? That is East Coast. I don't know.
Look, 9 in East Coast right now.
Check your local listings. Texans 4-4 at the Bengals. Texans look so good. CJ Stroud. I told everybody on planet Earth to put him on their DraftKings team last week, and I cashed in. He gave me like 45 freaking points in that game. It was awesome. But now they're going up against the Bengals, which is my team to win the big game. So I don't know. I don't think I'm going to start him this week. No,
I think the Bengals will take that game.
Even if Jamar Chase doesn't play because of his back, I think the Bengals will take that game. Absolutely. Saints 5-4 at the Vikings 5-4. Josh Dobbs can apparently win a game as a starting quarterback after just being with the team for 2 days. Okay. So the question is, what can Joshua Dobbs do? Or what will he look like with a full week of practice and that playbook? I'm kind of like, I know our friend Joe Madden Sports from Sports Grid. She is cheering against the Vikings for the rest of the season because how their fans attacked her just because she made a bet against them.
Right.
Like, I saw that post. It was terrible. So she's not cheering for the Vikings.
Not personal, y'all.
She's not cheering for the Vikings, but I kind of like cheering for former Cardinals players to do well elsewhere. And they do.
And you say I'm the one who's going to piss all the Cardinals fans off.
They do. Hey, stats are facts.
I know it is true. I honestly think the difference is going to be if him learning the playbook will interrupt his naturalness in the game.
No, I don't think there's any.
There's no way he knew what he had going into the game.
He is a highly highly. He was only with the Cardinals for a week, and they started him week 1.
Yeah.
I think they lost that game, but they started him week 1, which means he knew enough of the playbook. So he's had the playbook now for it'll be like 8 or 9 days. Maybe he knows the offense. I'm going to be tuning in. I'm going to keep an eye on that.
It'll
Next
be
game.
interesting to see how playing as a Viking affects him versus
oh yeah,
his natural talent, which showed up last week. That's what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he ran the ball a lot. And it definitely worked out. All right. All right. Now, the Packers at 3-5 at the Steelers at 5-3. Just like Joe isn't picking the Vikings for anything, I don't care if they freaking won last week or not. I'm not picking the Packers for anything because I am out of love with love. That's just how it is.
They're not going to be able to beat the Steelers. That would be one hell of an upset if they suddenly pulled that out of their asses.
The Titans at 3-5 at the Buccaneers at 3-5. Will Levis has already been named starting quarterback by head coach Mike Vrabel. I like Levis moving forward. I mean, he still threw for almost 300 yards in his last game. They lost, but I mean, he did decent. Titans, however, keep this in mind for our locks, have not won a game on the road yet this season. They are 0-4. All right. Browns 5-3 at the Ravens 7-2. This is probably going to be the primetime game for the early slate. Browns at Ravens, and I think the Ravens will destroy them.
Probably.
I like that defense. I like the Ravens defense a lot, and I like Zay Flowers. So I think the Ravens will take that one at home. The 2:05 p.m. slate, Falcons 4-5 at Cardinals 1-8. Kyler Murray set to make his first start of the year, coming off of last year's torn ACL. Look. All right, it's my turn this time to be honest with the Cardinals fans. So whoever's left is probably going to leave right now because there's a ton of excitement. They've got pictures on Twitter talking about activate Kyler.
Yeah.
You know, like he's a freaking robot and they're like he's just going to go out and destroy like RoboCop. You know what I'm saying? But look, the guy hasn't taken a snap in over a year. I mean, what is there to be excited about? Yeah. Okay. Let's say he comes back and wins 2 to 3 games this season, right?
Yeah.
That completely screws up their draft pick. Completely screws it up. They go from inside the top 10, top 1 or 2 to maybe 11th or 12th when all the big highlight names are already taken. Why should you be excited about Kyler Murray coming back this season? It's over. It's over. They need to tank. I hate teams tanking. The Arizona Cardinals need to freaking tank to get the best draft pick possible next season. Like, I'm actually cheering for them to lose, and that's being nice because I want them to get a better draft pick next season.
Right.
Yeah,
they're down there with the Panthers.
If they come back and win, right, they'll guarantee them. So, like, if they win this week, because I don't see the Panthers winning this week, there goes the chance at the first pick, right? Because I don't see the Panthers winning another game this season, right? So as soon as they win one more, there goes your shot at the first pick, right? You'll win another one. That puts you outside of the top 5, maybe even the top 10 with 3 wins. Like, why would you be excited about Kyler Murray coming back? He's going to do good enough to screw up a great draft pick. That's what he's going to do. They're not going to win like 9 in a row.
No.
Not going to happen.
They may win a couple, which will probably feel good for a minute, though.
I can see them going, what are they now? They're 1-8. So they've got 8 games left, 3-5 at best. And that, again, and that's 3-5 in the final 8. That will screw up their draft picks.
Yeah.
Completely screw them up, put them in no man's land. is what it is. That's the history of the Arizona Cardinals. And you're going to learn more about that in a little bit with Football Origins with Lady M. All right. The Lions at 6-2 at the Chargers. Chargers looked pretty decent the other night. Kind of got to give it to them. The Lions, yeah, the Chargers beat the Jets because the Jets suck again.
Yeah.
No, we suck again. All right, moving on. I think the Lions are going to destroy the Chargers.
The Lions are going to, yeah.
All right. The Giants 2-7 at the Cowboys. Cowboys need a bounce back. Yeah, they lost, but they lost to the best team in the NFL. Take it as it is. They cannot be 5-4 after this week. They can't.
Yeah,
this is a must win.
Angry enough to be able to take out a 2-7 team. Although it's usually this kind of team is the team that randomly beats them out of nowhere and surprises everybody.
Because if they hadn't already
been on a losing streak, I would have thought the Giants might be a good little upset there.
It's a rivalry game. Anything can happen. This, however, probably won't. Commanders 4-5 at the Seahawks. Commanders coming off a win against our Patriots, but the Patriots are not the Seahawks. And Foxborough or Gillette Stadium is not the 12th man. That stadium is going to be loud. It's going to be rocking. I do not see the Commanders winning that game, but I think it's going to be a shootout. It's going to be a lot closer than people think. I got the Seahawks in that game as well. Sunday night football, the Jets suck at the Raiders.
What a terrible Sunday night game.
Well, no, I'm excited about this because I want to see the Raiders from last week, the Antonio Pierce led Raiders going up against the Jets that looked terrible last week. Terrible.
Yeah, they did.
I want to see that. Monday Night Football. This could be a decent game. Probably won't be. Broncos 3-5 at the Bills 5-4. Bills need a win this week.
Did have that one win against somebody that they should never have had any business beating. Yeah, okay. So in theory, if they were going to pull that kind of thing off twice in the season, this would be the game. I mean, I don't see that happening. I think the Bills are going to run right over them, but
all right, let's get into our locks. Lady M, you got first pick. As a matter of fact, wait a minute. Do I have first pick this week?
I don't know. I haven't tallied up from last week yet. I'm sorry.
I think, we'll give it to you anyway. We'll give it to you anyway because I'm a gentleman. All right. Thursday. Who do you got for Thursday Night Football?
Let's go Bears.
Thank you. I am going the Panthers in this one. I'm taking the Panthers, and I'm relying on the Bears' inability to cover wide receivers going up against one of the worst passing games in the NFL, right? So I am saying that the worst passing game in the NFL in the Carolina Panthers, one of the worst, is going to defeat the Chicago Bears in Chicago tomorrow night. That's what I'm saying. So I've got the Panthers. You've got the Bears. All right. Yep. Sunday night's matchup. Jets at the Raiders. Please say Jets. Please say Jets.
I'm going to go Raiders.
I'm not cheering for the Jets. That shit's not going to happen. Put me down for the Raiders too.
All right.
All right. Next up, we got Monday Night Football. Broncos at the Bills. What do you got?
Bills.
I was actually giving you some time to think about it.
I didn't need it.
All right. Me neither. Put me down for the Bills. All right. So we've got the same picks for Sunday night and Monday night. But now we can have the same picks. Who are you locking in? Who are you locking in?
I'll take the Lions.
Of course. That's your favorite team to pick. All right.
Yep.
I will take, as I'm looking over this mess, I'm going to take the Cowboys. I am going to take the Cowboys. I don't even see them right now in front of me, but I know they're out there. I'm taking the Cowboys.
Versus the Giants. That's a smart one.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you. Who do you got? Who are you locking in?
And this is a hot mess, isn't it? Let's go Steelers.
You're going Steelers. That's a good pick right there. You are going with the Steelers. I am going with the Ravens at home against the Browns.
That's a good pick. Okay. I think I'll go wild on my last one, and I'm going to say the Vikings will beat the Saints.
Wow.
I actually think that's going to be a really close game and probably a dangerous pick.
Wow, you got some faith in Josh Dobbs. I like it. Yeah, that's going to be a fun game to watch if it's on. I mean, we'll have the red zone on one of our TVs.
Yeah.
But so I mean, I'm sure they'll update us every 10 minutes on what's going on. But okay, I'm going to take the Bengals. I'm going to take my big game team, and I'm going to ride with them. Cincinnati Bengals over the Texans.
All right.
Run down those real quick.
All right. So I have Bears, Raiders, Bills, Lions, Steelers, and Vikings. You have Panthers, Raiders, Bills, Cowboys, Ravens, Bengals.
Yeah, makes sense. All right. Next up, what's next?
Third quarter, DraftKings DFS for Thursday Night Football.
All right, get your pen and paper ready or pull up the notes on your computer. And so here we go. Here's some stats that I was looking at, and these are the stats that I paid attention to build the ultimate team to help you win money on Thursday night. So the Bears, let's look at their defensive stats of fantasy points per game allowed from the quarterback position. They are dead last in fantasy points per game allowed to quarterbacks at 24 points per game. The Panthers are 14th. At the running back position, the Bears are 25th at 16.6 fantasy points per game allowed, ranked 25th. The Panthers, here's a bright spot for you Bears fans, are ranked 31st to running backs at 24 fantasy points per game allowed. The wide receiver position, the Bears are 16th at 19.7 fantasy points per game allowed to wide receivers. That's where the story pretty much ends for Bears fans. The Panthers are 7th in fantasy points per game allowed to wide receivers at 17.1 average. The Bears for tight ends are ranked 20th in fantasy points per game allowed at 6.9. The Panthers are ranked 6th. They don't allow a lot of fantasy points to tight ends. So Cole Kmet probably should bench him this week. That's what I'm thinking. All right. The kickers. The Bears are ranked 26th in fantasy points per game allowed to kickers at 9.6. The Panthers are ranked top 10. They are 10th at 7.2 fantasy points per game allowed. For defense and special teams, the sacks, the interceptions, the returns, the forced fumbles, the recovered fumbles, the Chicago Bears are 31st in the NFL in fantasy points per game allowed to defense and special teams at 13.9. However, the Panthers are 27th, so they're not very good there either. So any one of those defenses, if you want to play both, you can do that as well. But I think I've got a better roster put together based on their weaknesses. All right, write this down. In the captain spot, this is a showdown tournament. You want quarterback Bryce Young from Carolina. He's a big price at 14.5 at the quarterback position and at the captain spot. Then you want the Panthers defense special teams. They're usually pretty cheap. They're at $4,000, which is actually on the higher tier for D. They go around 41, 4,200 down to about like 23, 2,400, 2,500. So they cost 4,000. You want running back from the Bears, Deontay Foreman. He may not be the starter this week, but I'll put him in the end zone at least once. He cost 8,600. You also want running back Chuba Hubbard from the Carolina Panthers. He costs 8,000. You want Adam Thielen because the Bears can't cover wide receivers for Carolina. I've got him at 11,800. I've got another wide receiver. You need a cheap one because Adam Thielen is pretty damn expensive, but worth it. I've got Jonathan Mingo at 2,800. Anytime you pick a player 3,500 or less, you just want him to get you like 10 points. But usually that's a number 3 wide receiver. Jonathan Mingo is actually the number 2 wide receiver on the team, but because they don't pass that much, he doesn't get much out there. I'm putting him down for, let's say, 35, 40 yards on like 3 or 4 catches. And that'll get you 7, 8, 9 points. Unless we can get lucky enough to get him in the end zone, in which case you'll be mid-teens, which would be freaking awesome. All right, what's next?
Fourth quarter, the college quarter.
Right. 3 must-watch games. I got them for you. I set them up for you right in a row. Matter of fact, the schedule pretty much did it for me. Like, if you look at the schedule, there's not too many games in each time slot competing with these games. So it's almost like Captain Obvious giving these things out. But the early slate, the 10 a.m. Arizona time slate, number 3, Michigan, is 9-0. They're caught up in a controversy right now, a whole Spygate thing going on in college football. They are 9-0 going to number 10, Penn State, 8-1. That's the early game to watch. That's going to be a great game to watch on Saturday morning. I'm probably going to look into it. I don't have to cover Arizona State this week. They are on the road. So I'll be watching college football most of the day. Absolutely. Did you have plans? Did you want to go out? No? Okay, we're watching football. This is awesome. All right. 1:30 game. I got number 18, Utah, at number 5, Washington. Washington's trying to stay undefeated and be relevant and stay in that college football playoff spot. I think they'll pull it off. It's still going to be a really good game. The late game, the 5 o'clock game out here, I got number 9, Ole Miss, Mississippi. Ole Miss at 8-1, heading to second-ranked Georgia at 9-0. A lot of people have been giving Georgia crap, said their schedule's been a little light. Georgia beats down Ole Miss. Shut the hell up. All right? That's all I can say. That's all I can say. All eyes on my teams. So there's 3 teams that I follow. You'll actually see them behind me. Well, 2 out of the 3 behind me. You got Holy Cross 6-3. That's not the team I'm cheering for. They are going into Army at 3-6. Here's the thing about Army. We know they're probably not going to make a bowl game. We don't care. There's 2 games on that schedule that we want you to win. One of them is an absolute freaking must. Last week, they beat Air Force. Aha. We got bragging right. We got bragging rights over Air Force. Awesome. But the big game that you want Army to cover, to beat, will be in early December. That's the Navy game. That's why I watch it on the live. I've got, you can see it says beat Navy. It actually says go Army, beat Navy. I am an Army veteran. Go Army, beat Navy. Might piss my dad off a little bit. He's a Navy veteran. Who cares? I won't get the Christmas card this year. All right. So I'm watching that game. I'm also watching Boston College, BC Eagles. Virginia Tech is going into BC. Here's the thing about BC. They've won like 4 or 5 straight, right? Make it, I think they started out like 1-3. They've now won
shaky for
5 straight. I love it. They have a chance to actually finish the season with 8 straight wins. There's a very good chance that they win out and finish at 9-3. But they're hosting Virginia Tech It's an ACC matchup. Should be a good game. That is at Alumni Stadium, Boston College. Arizona State, the Sun Devils. I feel bad about doing that because this is actually my alumni. I got my master's at a Christian university, but you know what? Yeah, there you go. Sun Devils, fork them. All right, Arizona State 2-7 at UCLA. I don't give them any shot in winning this game. Like, it would be a massive upset if
Football
they go
miracle.
into UCLA and pull it off. So yeah, it's not happening. I still had the games from last week on this schedule as well. Yeah, no, we're not talking about those games at all because Utah beat down Arizona State. Didn't like that one. Army actually beat Air Force, so we like that one. And again, Boston College beat Syracuse. So look good. What's next?
Overtime football origins.
Football origins. Who are you talking about this week?
The Arizona Cardinals.
Right now, I feel like I don't know if you remember it, but we're like Rose on the floating door in the Titanic, where Jack is slowly sinking into the abyss. He's just sinking there in the abyss, and she goes, "Come back, Jack, come back." We're pretty much doing that to the Arizona Cardinals. Like, Cardinals come fans. Back. We're showing you some love, Cardinals fans. We're showing you some love. She never does, ever. So, well, she did once upon a time. Once upon a time, she was kind of nice. But then she realized the truth behind you guys, and she was like, fuck them. They're done.
I will say this. I admire anybody that stays a hardcore fan when their team is
I'll
like
do that.
this.
There's a lot of hatred.
It's admirable.
Well, especially here because there's such a mixed pool of fans.
Yeah, most people hear from somewhere else.
Yeah,
they usually bring their team fandoms with them, so the Valley's full of Bears fans and Steelers fans and Vikings fans and
everything from Ohio and Chicago.
Anything north of the midway of the country.
Green Bay, really. They're all out here. There's such a mix. Here. So basically, there's a lot of hatred, but there's a lot of like Cardinals fans before you get into their history. There's a lot of Cardinals fans that are pissed off because there's still a lot of Cowboy fans here.
Right.
But what they fail to recognize is like the Cardinals got here in what, like
1988.
1988. Okay, so the early 90s, basically when they started getting popular. I was close. I was only off by 5 years. So like,
it was when the Cowboys were at their peak, and the team had only been here in the Valley for a minute, and they didn't do well.
So, like, the NFL didn't get here until the late 80s. So there are fans here from of other teams. They either went west to like the Raiders, or Rams, or like the Chargers, or they went east to Texas.
The Cowboys. That was when the Cowboys
a lot of them were Cowboys.
Really good.
All right, take it away. Football origins, the history of the Arizona Cardinals.
All right. The team was originally the Morgan Athletic Club, formed by Chris O'Brien in Chicago in 1898. Another one of the real old teams. They moved to playing in Normal Field on Racine Avenue and became known as the Racine Normals. O'Brien ended up buying used uniforms from the University of Chicago in 1901. So they were real faded, and the color red was very faded. And he wanted to put a spin on it. He put an enthusiastic spin to make it sound new. And he said, it's not faded, it's Cardinals red. And that's how they officially became the Racine Street Cardinals. It's a cute play on old faded uniforms. I like that. That's probably one of my favorite stupid origins for the name that I've read so far. In 1906, the Racing Cardinals actually disbanded due to lack of local competition, but they propped back up in 1913. Another team, same name, same owner, still Chris O'Brien, by the way. So they just claimed the original history as theirs. Then the only other time they had to suspend operations was in 1918 due to World War I and then the Spanish flu outbreak, But by the end of that same year, they were already back playing again. They were one of just a very few amount of teams that did that. They have had continuous operations since 1918.
Wow.
Yeah. In 1920, the Racing Cardinals joined the American Professional Football Association, which, if you don't remember, that's the precursor to the NFL. They're as a charter member. They're one of only 2 original teams that still exist, the other being the Chicago Bears. Technically, the Packers existed, but they didn't actually join until 1921.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah. So they missed out by a year. There was immediate conflict once they joined the APFA with another Chicago team then called the Tigers over turf, basically. So the Cardinals challenged the Tigers to a game. The loser had to leave town. If that's not the most old-timey thing I've ever heard of in my life. So the legendary Cardinals player, Patty Driscoll, scored the only touchdown in the whole game for a 6-0 score, and they ended up getting to stay in Chicago. Crazy to me. Loser leaves town. That's a real thing. It's not just a movie.
Loser leaves town. All right.
They also played the Decatur Staleys, later to become the Chicago Bears, twice in 1920. So that technically makes the Bears Cardinals the oldest rivalry to exist in the NFL.
Not the best one, but the oldest one.
As a side note, since they've moved all over the place, they've never really played any single team so consistently to really say they have a rival. Almost everything I read was like, they don't have rivals. Then the one thing was like, they're the first rivalry in the NFL, which I feel like some of the stuff in the Lions and the Bears and the Packers all suggested strongly there were other rivalries first. But whatever. We'll give them that one.
Give us the win. They don't win anything else here in Arizona. Give us that.
Right? So here's a pretty cool fact for anybody that doesn't know the old-timey stuff. They were one of the very few teams to have players of color during the 20s. So they had Duke Slater was the first African-American lineman to ever play in pro football, and he was the best of his times. Those times were pretty racist. There was a huge push to not allow people of color to play professional football at all. So twice during his career, he was the only person of color to be playing professional football in the entire NFL.
Wow, that's crazy.
Right. By the time he retired in 1931, he'd achieved all-pro status 6 times. Duke Slater, folks. I thought that was pretty cool.
That's cool.
In 1922, the APFA became the NFL, making the Cardinals also a charter member of the NFL. They changed their name from the Racing Street Cardinals to the Chicago Cardinals at this time. So what happened was an official recorded the Racing Cardinals as being from Racine, Wisconsin. Then an actual team from Racine, Wisconsin showed up somehow and started playing. They didn't want it to be confusing. So they changed their name to Chicago Cardinals just to make themselves clear as a team.
Right.
So side note, in the first 6 years of the NFL's existence, the Bears-Cardinal games had a direct impact on the league championship 4 times. 4 times out of 6 possible. Okay. The Bears were a dominant team against everyone but the Cardinals in the league's early years. No other team in the NFL defeated the Bears more than once over an entire 6-year span, except the Cardinals, outside of the Canton Bulldogs, who managed to beat them twice in that same time frame. So at least during the 20s, you could say they were properly rivals.
All right.
Sounds like to me. Wanted to throw that in there because I thought it was interesting.
In
cool. 1925, the Chicago Cardinals won the championship. Outside of this victory, they had minimal success in their first 26 seasons of football.
No.
So side note, this victory was a huge, huge controversy. It's still considered controversial today. The Pottsville Maroons were the best team that season, beating the Cardinals 21-7 when they actually played each other. But the commissioner at the time wanted to punish the Maroons for having an unsanctioned game, and he suspended the team. So back then, it was based on winning percentage.
Mm-hmm.
And between the suspension, keeping them out for a couple of games, and the Cardinals squeezed a couple of last-minute extra games in against really weak teams deliberately to have a couple of extra wins. They even hired some high school players to play on the opposing team under fake names in one of the games, which they were caught and sanctioned for. It ended up leading to their victory. So, yeah, it's like the whole thing is crazy. I understand why it's still controversial, honestly, reading about it. The team owner of the time was Chris O'Brien. He refused to accept the championship because he just was straight out like, the Maroons did better. They even beat us. Like, we can't accept this. When he sold the team to Dr. David Jones in 1929, Dr. Jones also refused to accept the 1925 championship.
Yeah.
We'll come back around to this in a minute.
All right.
There was one shining highlight in 1929. So Cardinals superstar running back Ernie Nevers scored all 40 points in a 40-6 victory over the Chicago Bears. This is a record that still stands today. A 1929 record that still stands today. Can you imagine seeing one player make all 40 points?
I'm trying to figure out what the scoring was, because 40 points, that's not 6 points. That's not 7 points.
Back then, maybe he kicked some field goals.
Hey, all right. Let's do it.
It's totally possible.
I'll take that.
They played all the parts back in the day. So,
all right.
In 1933, the team was bought by Charles W. Bidwell and has been in continuous family ownership since. I know you know that name.
Know that name. Currently
owned by his son. Bidwell was the one who finally accepted the championship for 1925.
Of course.
Of course. Almost a decade later, too. We should also
we'll take it. Sure.
It's the most Bidwell move I've ever heard of.
Absolutely.
All right. Bidwell managed to keep the team going through the Great Depression and through World War II, managing to build a winning team by the end of the war. The team had a losing streak, though, that lasted from 1936 until 1945.
Wow.
In 1944, a little side note here, the Chicago Cardinals actually combined with the Steelers to play for a season, since basically so many people were serving in World War II.
Of course.
They did that. So for that season, a lot of the teams had combos. They were known as Card Pit and only played for one season together with a dismal record of 0 wins, 10 losses. Fans were so upset they were known as the Car Pits.
Got it.
Like a carpet. Like you walk all over.
Nice. I get it.
I thought that was funny.
That's pretty good.
In 1947, the Chicago Cardinals won their second and last championship, although they did win the Western Division title in 1948, which was the first televised football game. On a side note, the Cardinals won, apparently.
All right.
In 1947 is the only win they have with zero controversy, since this 1925 thing is just a hot mess.
Right. Carpets.
The 50s were rough for the Chicago Cardinals. They had just 33 wins over 10 seasons. They were almost bankrupt. They could not compete against the Chicago Bears for attendance. And that's when they started making serious efforts to move to another city.
All right.
So in 1960, the Chicago Cardinals became the St. Louis Cardinals. Violet Bidwell, who is Charles Bidwell's wife, she took charge when he passed in 1947. Had to fight to get the Cardinals moved. The NFL was trying to charge exorbitant fees that the team simply couldn't pay to move, and also demanding they build a new stadium in St. Louis. So they ended up trying to get investors involved, but it fell through because they did not want to give up controlling interest in the team. They still wanted it to be the Bidwell team. Also another real Bidwell move, if I've heard one.
Absolutely.
The AFL came into being at this time. It is kind of a direct result of them refusing to sell the Cardinals, by the way, because the people that they refused to sell to, revenge created the AFL.
All right.
Since the AFL ended up coming out as a rather serious competitor for the NFL basically just suddenly caved and went, you know what? It's cool. You can move to St. Louis. No problem. Let's get teams spread around the country. That's how they ended up in St. Louis.
That's hilarious.
So a side note for anyone that doesn't know, the St. Louis baseball team is also the St. Louis Cardinals.
Still to this day.
It was the first time in history 2 teams with long established nicknames that ended up coincidentally being the same name ended up in the same city. It was like totally a freak accident. So they usually called them the Football Cardinals or Big Red for their time in St. Louis.
Big Red. All right.
Big Red. We should bring that one back. I kind of like that one, honestly. Bird Gang is cute, but Big Red's awesome.
Yeah. Well, the mascot isn't his name. I think his name is Big Red.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
The Cardinals were competitive in the 60s, even though they had to share a baseball field with a baseball team that had priority for all scheduling. And they had to do their practices in a park. Being competitive under those circumstances is impressive. I have to give them that one. In 1964, the St. Louis Cardinals advanced to the playoffs, but they didn't make it past the first round. Now it's going to get a little repetitive because they did the exact same thing in 1974, 1975, and 1982. The only postseason win they had for the next 2 decades came from winning the playoff bowl in 1964. So in 1988, the St. Louis Cardinals became the Phoenix Cardinals, making their final move to Arizona. Now, I was living here when I was in kindergarten, which was like 82, 83. I have no memory of the Cardinals not being here. They weren't. I might not have been real aware of football at that time. It's maybe the only excuse I have, but I thought that was weird to hear that they only have been here since 88. They originally had to share Sun Devil Stadium with Arizona State University. So in 1994, the Phoenix Cardinals rebranded and became known as the Arizona Cardinals. This change was made because of pressure from the fans. And basically, what it mounted to was, what are you calling the Phoenix Cardinals? They play in Tempe.
Also makes sense.
They should represent all of Arizona. And so Bidwell just went, okay, that's fine. Arizona Cardinals, I agree. And it became more popular right around the same time. Who else did it? It was just before the Carolina Panthers showed up. And then there was another team. Oh, the New England Patriots had just changed to New England Patriots, stuff like that. So it was allowed. That's another way to say it. I was definitely here for that. And I have zero memories of it. By the way.
Well, you didn't have me to consistently remind you about football.
That they used to be the Phoenix Cardinals. Anyways, in 1998, the Cardinals made the wild card slot in the playoffs and beat the Cowboys. This was their first playoff win since 1947.
Wow. 51 years.
Yeah, that is a lot. That is pretty that's pretty bleak. It's pretty bleak. They fell on hard times again, and they never won more than 7 games from 1999 to 2006 in a season.
Yep.
So in 2003, the NFL actually revisited the controversial 1925 championship win. Ultimately, they decided not to reopen it. So the Cardinals are still listed as the 1925 champions, but that is still a controversial decision today.
Wow.
Right. On a more somber note, another notable thing in 2004 is when Pat Tillman was killed while serving overseas in Afghanistan. So he was an incredibly popular player. He won All-American at Arizona State. He gave up his NFL contract in order to serve after the September 11th attacks. And he ended up being killed in action. So he is the first NFL player to lose his life in a war since Buffalo Bills Bob Kalsu died in 1970 during the Vietnam War. Wow. As far as I'm aware, he's also the last.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Tillman's jersey, number 40, was retired at the opening of the 2004 season. Another little side note on that, there is a charitable run here called the Tillman Run every year. That's a pretty big deal locally. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but like here in Phoenix, in Arizona, we never forgot him.
Yep.
So in 2006, our new stadium just for the Cardinals was completed. It's had a whole bunch of stupid corporate names over the years. Actually, just 2. But you know how much I hate the corporate names. So I will just call it Cardinal Stadium. They can suck it.
Suck it.
The first ever designated stadium just for the Cardinals in their up until 2006, 107 years of history. It has a retractable roof, a slide out grass surface, high back seats, and state of the art air conditioning. And as someone who's actually seen a game there now, I can say it's genuinely a really nice stadium.
Oh yeah, it's a beautiful stadium.
We paid for that. The taxpayers funded that.
I graduated in it.
That doesn't know.
I graduated one of my degrees in that stadium. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, me too. Actually,
great stadium. Yeah,
it's used for graduations a lot, which is a good use for it.
Yep.
In 2008, the Cardinals made their first ever big game appearance, which the Steelers actually won.
Yeah.
It was considered a miracle season for them. Their record was 9 wins, 7 losses, and they just barely managed to squeak into a wild card playoff berth. And then they went through and won 3 playoff games and had their trip to the big game. Side note, this was their first home playoff game win in 61 years that they had for this season.
Wow. Talk about a drought.
For reals. In 2009, the Cardinals made the playoffs again, but they did not have the same success they did in 2008. They ended up beating the Green Bay Packers 51-45 in overtime in the highest scoring playoff game in NFL history for the first round, but they lost to the Saints in the next.
No.
So Kurt Warner retired. Several key players left the team right after the end of that season, which led to another kind of bad spell there for a minute. Now, in 2014, we had an 11-win, 5-loss record, which was their best record since 1975. In 2015, they had their best season on record ever with 13 wins, 3 losses. They won the first round of the playoffs. They did not advance farther. So another side note for 2015, they were the first team to ever have a female coach.
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer Welton worked as assistant intern during training camp and the preseason, which ultimately opened the door for others like Katie Sowers, who's coached for the 49ers and the Chiefs. Then my note to myself was just, unfortunately, there hasn't been much but heartache and almosts to report from then to date. So,
Cardinals.
It's the Cardinals. Fun facts. Honestly, they have one of the worst records I've ever come across so far. Mostly teams are fairly close in their win-loss averages. Like the more time the team has been playing, the closer that number has always seemed to be.
Wow.
But at the beginning of the 2023 season, they had 581 wins, 790 losses, and 41 ties. It's terrible. It's terrible. Do better.
Wow. Do better. Now. Do better.
That stat alone made me have a lot of admiration for the fans, though. Like, seriously, you guys are rock stars for sticking through all that.
Yeah.
No Gene Simmons popping in the room. The Pro Football Hall of Fame calls them the oldest team in terms of continuous operation that exists in pro football history. Sports Illustrated states that the Cardinal is the oldest continuous mascot in American professional football today. Thought that was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Something I thought might be funny to mention. I could tell whenever someone that had never been to Arizona wrote things, because they would get so offended about the Phoenix Cardinals but they've only ever played in Tempe and Glendale. Like, when you're from here, it's all Phoenix.
Yeah,
it's literally called the greater Phoenix area because the city of Phoenix spreads through all of it. It just grew around these other smaller cities. So they're more like a neighborhood inside the city in some ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it sounds silly when you get all like, well, they always played in Tempe. Like, yeah, Tempe is literally inside of Phoenix. So trust me, it makes more sense than you think it does.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Now in closing, a quote from Sports Illustrated's Larry Rankin. The Cardinals have endured and continue to endure. They've gone through rebrandings, relocations, depressions, both world wars, financial strife, and every kind of impending doom that can be imagined. And they are still here.
That's true. They are still here, and they get to watch Kyler Murray this weekend.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm starting to understand why they're posting all this excitement
about Kyler, over the top
because
about it.
They don't have anything else to cheer for.
When the Cardinals win a big game, when they pull that off, it's going to be the equivalent of when the Cubs won the World Series.
I don't think they will, like, ever.
To their fans, it will.
I don't think they ever will win.
Oh, you're saying never? Maybe not in our lifetime, but it's bound to happen.
I don't know. I mean, it may go down to flag football before, like, they actually win a championship, like a legit non-scandal championship.
Right. None of this 1925 crap.
All right, great job on that. I now know way too much about the Arizona Cardinals. But I've got some ammunition to post online. So that's pretty cool.
Silver
All
lining.
right. So if you missed our past episodes, or if you missed this episode, you'll be able to check it out on heroesmediagroup.com, along with on Spotify. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the S3's YouTube channel. It's kind of a new channel, just starting to put content out there. We're just trying to get like 100 likes and subscribers. If we hit that, then maybe we'll give away some gear. You know, maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll give away some free gear. Everybody likes free gear, free hats, free shirts. If we get to 1 million, we'll give away a hoodie. Yeah, I'm so cheap. All right, that's it for me, Lady M. What is for dinner?
We can do turkey scramble, or we can do buffalo chicken.
Ooh, any one of those. I'm hungry. Let's get ready to watch some sports over the next few days. Don't forget to check out our basketball show on Fridays, same time, same place. Thank you very much. Have a great evening. We'll check you later.